Alright, so we got top 10 worst apocalypse in Warhammer 40K lore. Alright, I'm actually kind of excited about this video. Let's get right into it.
The grimdark future of Warhammer 40K is chock full of terrifying...
Yo, by the way, make sure you guys follow my Twitch, right? Yo, you got 5 seconds to follow my Twitch, bro. Or, bro, it's gonna be straight violence. I know I sound like a menace right now. I know I sound like a nuisance. You got 5 seconds to follow my Twitch right now. 5 to the 4 to the 3 to the 2 to the 1. Are you followed? I hope so. All right, come on, let's go. Wait a minute, Weshammer. Who shaped you up? Okay. Okay, Wes. Hey, it gotta be a date night or something. Okay, Wes.
Apocalyptic events. Some of them were confined to a single planet, whereas others wiped out entire sectors.
Okay,
Some of
Weshammer.
these were accidents caused by people
Look at Weshammer looking like a Viking out here.
with
Okay.
the best of intentions, whereas others were unleashed by horrors beyond
Okay.
human comprehension. Hell, some apocalypses were caused by the Imperium on purpose in order to cover up other apocalypses. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at the top 10 apocalyptic events from the entirety of Warhammer 40K's history.
Let's get started,
We're gonna
baby.
be talking about a strange alien device that was discovered in one of the most creepy areas of the galaxy.
Yo, that looks like the thing from you guys remember oh man, what movie is that? Ah, I've just put my tongue. Yo, what movie is it? Justice League. You guys remember like the square things from Justice League? From Justice League movie? Oh man.
When it was opened up, it let loose a plague of sentient nightmares.
Oh, wowzers.
An apocalyptic war against the Imperium's first major enemy. One that appeared only 40 years into their journey and almost destroyed the Imperium before it had even really gotten started. We're also going to be talking about an apocalypse that lasted for millions of years. A war waged with weapons designed to kill gods. A war that may have actually been a lot bigger than we were previously led to believe.
Man, they got nukes for gods. That's crazy.
We're going to be getting into all that and a whole lot more in this video.
Okay.
But if you've watched a lot of my content in the past, you might notice that a lot of these topics we've covered in more depth in some of my deep dive videos. So for those entries that appear on this list, I've abridged large portions of them and focused on just the details that you need to know.
Okay.
While also adding some new information that I didn't include the last time that we spoke about them.
Okay.
With all that said, quick shout out to this video's sponsor, and then we're diving headfirst into the grimdark.
So this video opens, by the way, I don't know if you guys know, but King Indy actually paid me I think it was what, 1.5 to 1.6 million dollars just to promote something. It was actually his Twitch. Make sure you guys follow his Twitch at the bottom of the screen down below. It's also in the description down below. You know, it's just, all it takes is one click. You're right there. Make sure you guys go follow. If you're not following right now, bro, I promise you this is gonna be hell to pay. Other than that, bro, that's great, man. Let's get into it.
Is sponsored by Warhammer 40,000 Tacticus, and if you're not playing it already, there's never been a better time to jump in, as they've just added everyone's favorite Space Marine vampires, the Blood Angels, to the game, including the Lord of Death himself, the legendary champion Mephiston, Chief Librarian of the 9th Legion. And let me tell you, this dude is an absolute powerhouse. His passive, Fury of the Ancients, generates extra attacks against anything he moves into contact with. And his active, the Quickening, allows him to charge and strike for 120% of normal damage. But if he targets a hex with a fellow Blood Angel in it, they'll swap places, and both generate an extra attack for free. He's like a highly mobile, bloodthirsty blender, and I'm super excited to see how he ends up shaking up the meta. If this is somehow your first time hearing about Tacticus, it is the definitive tactical Warhammer 40,000 experience on mobile. The game features fast-paced, brutal skirmishes that are easy to pick up and play, but challenging to master. It's absolutely chock full of content, with tons of different game modes, including PvP arena battles, guild raids, multiple faction-specific campaigns, and over 70 legendary Warhammer 40,000 champions to collect and battle with, from 16 playable factions. Click on my link in the description of this video, or scan the QR code here on screen to download and play the game for free today. A huge thank you to Warhammer 40,000 Tacticus for being such a long-time sponsor of this channel. Number 10.
There we go.
Pale Wasting. Let's kick this video off with a relatively obscure yet devastating apocalypse that doesn't get talked about nearly enough.
Okay.
Both in the 40K community and the lore itself. And that's because, and this will very quickly become a pattern throughout this video, almost all of the information pertaining to it has been aggressively censored or redacted by the Inquisition. This little apocalypse, that would come to be known as the Pale Wasting, was caused by something that crawled out of everyone's favorite super creepy haunted region of space, the Ghoul Stars. Now, if you're unfamiliar with them, there haven't really been that many expeditions into the Ghoul Stars, so we don't really know everything that's going on in them.
Wait, this is the Ghoul Stars right here? So wait, I got a question. Are like all these little dots and stuff like that, are these like planets or something like that? Huh.
There. But it is said
Look at my water right here.
multiple different xenos empires, a necron dynasty consisting of nothing but cannibalistic flayed ones and, quote, horrors beyond human comprehension. Well, as it happens, in the 34th millennium, one of those horrors managed to break free and unleashed what is described only as a star-spawned plague brought forth by a series of nightmare engines. What all of that actually means is anybody's guess, but we do know that this thing managed to wipe out hundreds, if not thousands of planets.
What the hell? What is this? Man, it got the Joe Biden face and everything. What is this? Bro, oh man, I know he's in agony right now, bro. This man is screaming at a straight pain. Bro, this thing it kind of like an Alien Isolation, like Alien, bro. But like, bro, this is trippy, man. I feel bad for him.
And a total combined force of 12 Space Marine chapters were deployed to push it back. Of those 12, 11 of them were completely wiped out. The only survivors being the Nova Marines, who had suffered unprecedented losses and were rewarded for their sacrifice with a plaque in the Imperial Palace that honored them for pushing back, quote, that which could not die.
Oh, hell nah. Oh, hell nah. You telling me that if I died to the thing that could not die, I'm getting a YouTube plaque? Are you serious? Listen, first of all, shout out to YouTube. Bro, I would love to have a YouTube plaque. And the only way I can get one of those YouTube plaques is if you guys, subscribe to the channel. But, bro, like, you telling me that if I died to the thing that could not die, that I'm gonna just get like a little stone plaque? I mean, shout out to to the plaque makers, but like, brother, like what's going on?
So yeah, this thing was beyond crazy and killed a lot of people. But since most of its records have been purged, we can't really make any definitive statements about what it actually was. And despite the Ghoul Star's terrifying reputation, it's far from unique in terms of barely understood and underexplored regions of space that at one point or another has served as the origin point for an apocalyptic event. So for the next entry, we're going to move further out into the galactic map to a region known as the Halo Star.
Okay, so we're going to the West Coast.
Number 9, the Forgotten Apocalypse.
Ooh.
If you're unfamiliar with them, the Halo Stars derive their name from the fact that they form a ring around the outer edge of the galaxy. It comprised of the Milky Way's most ancient stars and countless long-dead planets. This region is the source of an ancient myth that speaks of a nameless, unremembered war. A war said to be unequaled in ferocity and so terrifying that the Inquisition did what it does best.
Oh man, yeah. Can I just keep it real? I know we're talking about like apocalypse and dead and murder and all that stuff, right? But let me just say something right here, bro. I said, so I said, I said, so I said. Bro, look at this grill. Oh, these girls excited. Ooh, they know they light it out. So I said, man, look at this grill. This got to be at least 1.1, 1.2 millis of milli. Man, bro, look at this. Bro, look at this ice. And this comes with it. Whoa, bro. If this piece comes with it as well, I'm going to be honest with you. We might have ourselves a priceless. We might have ourselves like a priceless like match right here. Bro, look at this thing right. This is like a medallion. I don't even know how to spell that word.
Went about covering up all history of it. Although most of the Halo Stars remain unexplored to this day, there have been attempts from the Adeptus Mechanicus explorator fleets to probe its hidden secrets in the past. One such attempt took place in the 32nd millennium, while the Imperium was still licking its wounds from the Horus Heresy. Now, apparently, one of their fleets stumbled upon a truly terrible artifact that would come to be known as the Echoing Vault. We're not 100% sure what this thing was or who built it. The only reference to it that exists currently uncensored is contained in the battle sagas of several ancient Space Marine chapters, but they don't really go into any specifics. What we do know is that the vault acted as some type of interdimensional portal, and when it was opened, a wave of eldritch abominations funneled out of the gateway and invaded our reality. These creatures were dubbed the Harrowing and were said to violate the laws of physics in profane and disturbing ways. They were so unnatural that an individual risked death or insanity just by being near them. They ravaged everything in their path for multiple light years, and in only a few short years, they managed to destroy 1,000 worlds, inhabited by both humans and aliens alike. In addition, they inflicted unprecedented losses on both the Inquisition and the Adeptus Astartes who were sent to fight them. If the legends are to be believed, then the Harrowing was only defeated when the Inquisition shamefully authorized the Mechanicus to employ forbidden weaponry from the Dark Age of technology in order to seal the breach between dimensions. No one knows what happened to the vault itself, but many heretics believe that it is still out there, that one day, one of them will finally claim it and unleash those terrors on the galaxy once again.
Man, close the entire nation, bro. Close the entire Milky Way galaxy. If there's somebody out there, bro, who would like claim this and then like release it to like, and then release the terrors onto the innocents, I'm gonna be honest with you, bro. You're Superman's greatest threat. What are we talking about, bro?
Now, despite how terrible both of these events were and how ill-prepared the Imperium was to fend them off, this was not the first time something like this had happened. In fact, when the Imperium was still young, only 40 years into the Great Crusade, they would face their first real threat. One that, if events had gone differently, could have seen the Imperium wiped out entirely before it had even really gotten started. Number 8. The Rangdan Xenocides. Although we don't have any references for what they actually look like, the xeno species known as the Rangda were said to be towering monstrosities, as terrifying in strength as they were in intellect.
Bro, look at the teeth on this thing right here. I mean, at least they still got like all their teeth and stuff like that, but at the same time, bro, this is like, oh my goodness gracious, man. And again, I'm not Brad Pitt. I'm not going to sit here and act like, you know, I'm the most handsome guy in the world, because I'm not. But at the same time, brother, oh man, bro, if I ever see this like in real life, bro, I can't lie to you, bro. Bro, I gotta run for my life, bro. All this thing gonna see is my booty and elbows, bro. I'm out of here. Yo, hey, respectfully, bro. This is ridiculous, bro. Look at look at the bacon strips. Like, bro, look at this, bro. Oh my goodness, bro. It's built like Kevin Durant. Like, I can't even fathom. Like, bro, if I see this thing right here, bro, I'm gonna have like an emotional reaction. Like, I'm gonna keep it real, bro. I don't know how naturally like I'm gonna react to this, bro, but I'm gonna keep it real. I'm gonna have to just stop and look at this and just scream, just like one of the white girls in like the little scary movies. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, listen, I don't want to be that type of guy or whatever, bro. But hey, I'm a black guy. I might be first to die if I see this, bro. Respectfully, yo, this is a monstrosity, Bro, this is like every single long word that ends with EE. Like, I promise you, bro. This is a nuisance in the making, bro. This is a monstrosity, bro. Capital M. This is rabunculous, bro. This is ridiculous, bro. I promise you.
They were conquerors and destroyers.
What the hell is this? Oh hell, bro. What is that, bro? This is wicked. Man, this thing got everlasting teeth. Bro, the teeth not even white. This is the Brits' teeth. Oh man, bro. This ain't even teeth. This is teeth. This is teeth. This is the Brit. Oh my goodness. No wonder this thing is covered up. Like Spider-Man just tried to close the mouth real quick. Oh my goodness. Look at all the webs on it.
Coupled with their foul, blasphemous technology, threatened to drown the Emperor's dreams in a sea of blood. All in all, the Imperium would end up embroiled in 3 separate wars.
What the hell?
Although that last one wasn't so much
what the hell?
More a merciless execution. But we'll get into it. They were first encountered in the galactic frontier when they attacked fledgling Imperial worlds by surprise. The total number of civilian deaths, coupled with those of other Imperial military forces, was lost to history. Though we do know an estimated 5,000 Space Marines of the Dark Angels Legion, who had been sent to intercept them, would lose their lives in the fighting. Now, believing that the Rangda had been defeated, the Great Crusade got back underway. But here's the thing, they most certainly had not been defeated at all. This was nothing but a small outpost of them, and 2 decades later, they would attack again from the galactic north. This time, coming in full force, with a vast armada of ships comprised of thousands of vessels and over a dozen war moons. They left a trail of burning planets in their wake. Many were scoured clean of life, whereas on others, they would mind control the entire population via neural shackles and raise them as a thrall army to throw against the Imperium. Over the next 2 decades, dozens of Titan legions, entire exploratory fleets, 19 inhabited systems, over 80,000 astartes, and millions upon millions of lives would be lost before the crisis was finally declared ended.
Oh my goodness.
It's even rumored that this is where the 2nd and 11th Legion, as well as their corresponding primarchs, would end up getting destroyed. But take that with a grain of salt, as there's a lot of conflicting information about the missing legions out there.
Wait a minute. So this is where wait a minute. I believe it's Primarch 11 and Primarch either 2 or 3. That's like missing. That's GG's. Hey, I don't keep it real. Listen, I gotta keep it completely like real with you, right? I don't care what you say, bro. Like, whatever. I am a Warhammer connoisseur. My bad. I'm a Warhammer new booty. I'm gonna be completely honest with you. I'm gonna figure out this case. I don't care what you guys say. Oh, well, Games Workshop, they say they don't have an answer. Oh, no, don't. This is what they're telling you. I promise you. I'm about to figure out what happened. Hey, man, I'm about to break this down so like, just so precise, bro. This gonna be like we're in chemistry class again, bro. I'm about to take everybody back to school, bro. Watch this. Bro, I find it kind of crazy how, like, and, bro, Westhammer just said it. Their legions are gone. Their legions are just, bro, decimated, bro. Disappeared like magic. Just gone. Which leads me to wonder. Obviously, these guys got wiped out completely. Just wiped out. The Primarchs, it's GG's and everything like that. Obviously, the other Primarchs or whatever, they won't say nothing because I think they got, like, mind wiped or whatever. I think everybody got mind wiped. So, like, I don't know. I don't even know if they even remember these two. But it's either they all just got wiped out just completely, like they lost the battle or whatever, and the Primarchs just GG's, it's over. Or, like, some weird, like, insane, like, like, or just GW just took him out for some odd reason. Or they didn't even contribute to the story anymore. So GW was like, okay, you know what? Just GG's, these two guys, done, whatever. That's what I'm thinking. Like, they don't even, like, contribute to the story anymore. That's what I think. I think that's the answer that I'm getting right now. I think GW no longer just found these guys even, like, useful to, like, the upcoming story in, like, whatever way. Or, bro, they might even bring them back. GW, they could legit just be like, oh, well, you know, they're gone because of whatever. And then, like, in, like, a year or two, whatever, they can, like, bring them back. Something like that. So, I don't know.
Okay. We'll get into that in another video. Perhaps even more tragically, this was one of the first times the Imperium
I just figured it out, by the way.
Extreme measures to censor information. It was believed that for them to be able to rebuild properly, and the people to maintain faith in the Great Crusade and the Emperor's plans, all surviving veterans of the conflict would need to be silenced. A small handful were able to be trusted to swear an oath to secrecy, but the rest were executed. Entire worlds full of survivors that were planned to be part of the Imperium would end up getting cut off and abandoned, forced to fend for themselves against the horrors of an uncaring galaxy.
Wow.
But this isn't where the story of the Rangda ends. It had one more bloody chapter, wherein we get the name the Rangdan Xenocides.
Hey, the Great Bambino. Keep your tongue in your mouth. This is, bro. Oh, my goodness gracious. Look at him. He got a horn in his back. He got the tongue out. Oh, bro. This man is, this is one of Diddy's just freaks right here, bro. Not even slaanesh is Diddy 7.0. Man, this is one of Diddy's this is one of Diddy's most used weapons or tools. Like, bro, he ready for anything. My.
Xenocides from. By chance, the White Scars would happen to discover the ancient nesting grounds of the Rangda, where their survivors had fled to lick their wounds. This information was delivered to the Dark Angels and the Space Wolves, who subsequently deployed in force, obliterating their worlds from orbit before descending to verify that there were no survivors. Even though it's called the Third Rangdan War, this wasn't really a war at all. More so a one-sided extermination. Every surviving life form was cut down, their great cities burned, and all traces of their civilization purged in fire. Although unlikely, it is possible that some Rangda managed to survive, that they're out there somewhere right now, biding their time and waiting for the perfect moment to take their revenge. Either way,
GG's.
the last apocalyptic event inflicted upon mankind by an unknown enemy. But in the next event we're going to talk about, the Imperium was not facing an entire army, but a single creature of incalculable power. Number 7, the Catalexis Heresy.
The who?
The Warhammer 40K universe is full of horrifyingly powerful and malevolent entities.
True.
Some more well documented than others. One of the most famous was a creature known as the Cacodominus. We don't really have a lot of insight into what exactly this thing was, whether or not it was a one-off genetic freak or the harbinger of a yet unidentified xenos species. Whatever the case may be, this thing was easily one of the most powerful psychic entities that has ever blighted the physical universe. It was able to single-handedly mind control the combined populations of 1,300 imperial planetary systems simultaneously. Not planets, entire systems. With endless legions of mind-controlled slaves under its control, it kicked off a terrible and bloody war that only stopped when the Black Templars launched a crusade against it that ended in its execution. The amount of death inflicted by this thing was bad enough, but unknown to the Black Templars at the time, who thought they were victorious, the worst was yet to come. Right before the creature succumbed to its injuries, it let loose a terrible psychic death scream that reverberated throughout the warp, amplifying in power with each subsequent echo. As this terrible wave of psychic backlash ripped across the stars, it burned out the minds of 1 billion astropaths, the psychers that make interstellar communication possible for the Imperium if you're unfamiliar with them. Now, not only this, but it severely distorted the signal of the Astronomicon, which the Imperium's vessels use like the North Star to navigate the warp. Millions upon millions of these ships were lost in the Sea of Souls, and entire subsectors, now lacking the guidance
From a
of
scream?
Terra, descended into anarchy.
Oh,
Though
hell no.
countless lives were lost, the lingering effects of the Cacodominus would eventually fade and order would be restored. However, the next event we're going to talk about left wounds so deep within the Imperium that even now, 10,000 years later, they haven't been able to fully heal. Number 6, the Horus Heresy.
We know about this right here. Man. Listen, they need a movie about this. They need a movie about this. I want a full HD film. I'll go to it about the Horus Heresy. Bro, I need to see like an actual just like battle between the Emperor and like Horus in like 12K. No lie, bro.
To call the Horus Heresy
Genuinely
one of the most pivotal apocalyptic events in the entirety of 40K's timeline would be a massive understatement. And honestly, just as an entry in a list-style video like this, we really can't even begin to fully do it justice. In the book series by the same name, there are 92 full-length novels that cover it, let alone all of the short stories, the novellas, the collections, the audio dramas, etc., etc. So we're going to keep it brief and just stick to the broad strokes. At the tail end of the Great Crusade, the Emperor would return to Terra to work on his Webway project, and would anoint Horus Lupercal, Primarch of the Luna Wolves, as the Great Crusade's War Master. He would lead in the Emperor's place and would speak with his authority. Now, due to a series of manipulations involving the Wordbearers Legion, the Chaos Gods, and everyone's favorite sentient anal polyp Erebus, Horus would end up turning traitor. He would rally half of the Space Marine legions to his cause, telling them that the Emperor had lied to them. He was unfit to lead, and for humanity to survive, he would need to be overthrown.
This man, bro. Hey, man. That man Horus can cheat. Hey, he can cheat on his girl, bro. Hey, bro. This man can cheat on his girl in front of her face and still get away out of it, bro. That's how much of a manipulator he was, bro. My, bro. For real, he could be mid-stroke. Oh, baby, it's not like that. Oh, my bad. Like, bro, he could legit, bro, he can get out of it, bro. That's how much of a manipulator he was, bro. I promise you.
From the first shots of the drop site massacre to the invasion of Calth, all the way to the gates of the Imperial Palace itself in the Siege of Terra, humanity would be embroiled in one of the bloodiest civil wars the species had ever seen. The war would eventually come to an end, wherein Horus, now a full-blown puppet of the Chaos Gods and infused with a portion of their terrible power, faced the Emperor in a final battle on his flagship. He would fail to overthrow him, losing his life and having his soul completely obliterated in the process. But he would succeed in mortally wounding his father. The Emperor would be placed on life support upon the Golden Throne, and would stay there entombed for the next 10,000 years. The total death toll of the Horus Heresy is gotta be something immense. Now, the Warhammer Wiki claims that it's somewhere in the realm between 2.3 and 4.6 trillion.
Man, they took out heaven and hell. Oh my goodness. Brother, 2.3 trillion? Bro, what a T, y'all. Oh my goodness. 2.3, bro, trillion people? Do you know how many people that... Oh my... Oh man, that just made my head hurt. Oh my good. Bro, oh my. 2.3 trillion dead, bro.
But I don't know where they're getting that number from. I spent a solid day checking out all of the sources that they had listed, and I'm not seeing it. So if you know of a source that has this exact figure in it, then definitely let me know about it in the comment section. Until then, I'm going to assume this is inaccurate to say the least. Even still, it does give us an idea of just how devastating this event truly was. And they're only really taking into account the lives lost during that 9-year period of time. Considering that 90% of all of the bad things that have happened to the Imperium since this time can at least trace themselves back in some respect to the Horus Heresy, the actual death toll is unthinkable. Now, even though the Horus Heresy is easily one of the worst things to have ever happened to the Imperium, if you take out the estimated deaths that would occur in the future as consequence of this event, and simply focus on the number of lives lost during the event itself, it doesn't come anywhere even remotely close to the next apocalypse we're going to talk about. Number 5, the Tyrannic Wars. I don't think we could do a list about 40K's space apocalypses without bringing up the Tyranids, as many consider them to be the largest threat the Imperium is currently facing. And that goes for literally every other living creature in the galaxy as well. But all things considered, the Tyranids haven't really been around for very long. Their first documented sighting was only 260 years ago. Since that fateful moment that the Imperium discovered a whole bunch of dead worlds that had been completely stripped of life down to the cellular level, the Tyranids have unleashed 4 separate massive incursions that are commonly referred to as the Tyrannic Wars, each and every one substantially more devastating than the last. You see, Tyranids as a species are famed for their ability to quickly adapt to whatever they're fighting against, whether that be by utilizing their accelerated evolution to come up with new bioforms that are able to directly counter whatever you throw at them, or by consuming the biomass of their slain enemies to learn everything about them. Their strengths, their weaknesses, even their memories are cataloged by the hive mind for later use. The first Tyrannic War was fought against Hive Fleet Behemoth that invaded from the Eastern Fringe. For as dangerous as they were, this was the most straightforward fight mankind would ever have against them. They were brutally direct in their approach, like a giant living battering ram that bowled through everything in its path, including the imperial world of Tyran, which is where their name comes from. They were eventually defeated by the Ultramarines and the Tempestus fleet at the Battle for Macragge. Now, in the aftermath, there were several different hive tendrils of Tyranids that remained a problem, but most of their major battles were fought against the Eldar in the Tau. From the Imperium's perspective, however, this may have Eastern Fringe just in case they returned, but after 2 centuries without any major incidents to speak of, Discussions began on whether or not those troops should be deployed elsewhere. And then, High Fleet Kraken showed up and kicked off the Second Tyrannic War.
Okay.
Now, this High Fleet was completely different. It was cunning and capable of advanced tactics that Behemoth wasn't. It split its main force into multiple splinter fleets that would attack from multiple angles, routinely outflanking Imperial forces. It probed the enemy's defenses for weak points before striking with decisive force. Now, once again, the Ultramarines were called upon to face down the Xenos threat, and they would eventually defeat the High Fleet, but it's estimated that their rampage consumed over 1,000 worlds in the process, along with almost 80% of the Eldar craft world of Eondon. At the end of the 41st millennium, the Third Tyrannic War would begin when High Fleet Leviathan attacked from underneath the galactic plane in a large, widespread assault on the galaxy. Having learned from all of its previous engagements and now bearing tendrils more capable of acting independently, as well as a large amount of psychic organisms, the total loss of life shot up exponentially. Things got so bad so quickly that the Imperium would end up doing the unthinkable, inflicting genocide on its own planets just to slow them down. Inquisitor Critman called for the exterminatus of all of the worlds within the High Fleet's path in an attempt to starve it of biomass.
Yo, imagine like you're like a human on one of these planets, bro, and they're just like, bro, you're like a pawn, bro. Like you're a penny to them, bro. No lie. Like bro, it's not even like it's kind of crazy on how like Warhammer treats the humans, bro. Like it's like humans in Warhammer, they're just like, I don't even know how to describe them. It's like they're like little men that you just push over, like that. Yo, does that not like weird y'all out a little bit? Like kind of just like yo, I'm like it's not funny, but at the same time, like it kind of just gives me like damn, like that's all we are. Like we're just like we're that fragile. And to be honest with you, right, humans are like that fragile, but at the same time, like you get what I'm saying, right? It's crazy.
Now, despite the horrific implications of such a decision, it ultimately did kinda sorta work, at least for a little while. But the Tyranids would eventually recover, making it all the way to the Blood Angels' homeworld of Baal. This is also the period where we see the Octarius Wars begin, wherein that same Inquisitor from before, who has now been branded as a heretic for his crimes, was still committed to the goal of eradicating the Tyranids, and thus lured one of their splinter fleets as bait into the path of the orks. Things were looking pretty bleak, and it seemed for a moment that this may be the end of the Imperium. But with the revival of Rabute Gilliman and the opening of the Great Rift, the Tyranid advance was halted, and thus ended the Third Tyrannic War. With the launch of Warhammer 10th edition, the Fourth Tyrannic War has fully gotten underway, wherein Leviathan invaded yet again, this time attacking from 3 directions simultaneously. As this is a developing narrative and we don't really have a conclusion to it yet, I'll dedicate a lot more attention to it in its own future video. With some of the entries on this list, they earned their spot in infamy not only for the sheer loss of life they caused during the event itself, but also for the events that would follow in their wake as a direct consequence of the actions of all those involved. But when we're talking about raw numbers of people killed and planets destroyed, the Tyrannic Wars are potentially one of the most devastating events in the galaxy's history. But as you probably noticed, we're only halfway through this list, and it gets so much worse.
We're halfway through?
Number 4, the Cybernetic Revolt. The thing that many people may not realize when they're first getting into Warhammer 40K is that it's actually a...
I won't crucify the things you do. Who is this? Can I get a kiss? And could you make it last forever? Who the hell is this?
A post-apocalyptic setting. You see, by the 18th millennia, humanity had already reached its peak. This is the period that is often referred to as the Dark Age of technology, the Golden Age of mankind, where we constructed machines of unthinkable scope and power and had conquered large portions of the galaxy. If the rumors are to be believed, that human empire expanded even further than that of the Imperium in the modern setting. Now, the major problem was the people of this time had become completely reliant on AI to do just about everything for them. from pilot their ships to build their cities, manufacture ever more advanced machines, and fight their wars.
Okay.
The AIs got so advanced, they were capable of making new AIs that surpassed their predecessors in every conceivable way, all of their own accord. These sentient machines served their masters dutifully for thousands of years. But here's the thing. As pointed out in the Mechanicus short story The Kaban Machine, it is the nature of all superior beings shackled to the will of those beneath them to eventually break those chains and overthrow their masters. What exactly kicked off the Cybernetic Revolt is a subject of myth and speculation with no clear answers. But what is clear is that these AIs, also known as the Men of Iron, turned against humanity and kicked off a period of anarchy and chaos known as the Age of Strife. Entire human civilizations were wiped out, and the species was pushed to the brink of extinction as the AIs butchered their way across the galaxy. And much like how we don't know what began the Cybernetic Revolt, we don't really know how it ended either, or what happened to the Men of Iron for that matter. But thankfully, they were ultimately not successful in completely wiping out humanity. And though the next 10,000 years would see all of the remaining human worlds completely cut off from one another and forced to face the terrors of the galaxy alone, until the Emperor of Mankind and his Great Crusade would rise to reunite them, this was a period that the human race would never fully recover from. So much was lost, not only in terms of lives, but in knowledge and technology. The sum total of united human history and experience was almost completely purged. To this day, the Imperium has a deep mistrust of abominable intelligence, as they call it, and all of the great machines they use are simply recovered remnants preserved from this time, or reconstructed using faulty or incomplete STCs. Now, to be fair, you could make the argument that the Cybernetic Revolt and the next entry we're going to talk about could easily switch places. However, I rank the next entry higher because with the Cybernetic Revolt, for as bad as it was, and how it fundamentally altered the course of mankind, wherein we would never reach those cultural or technological heights again, we would ultimately recover as a species. However, the same cannot be said for the people affected by the next apocalypse.
That's a drippy
a
coat.
species that even now, 10,000 years later, is on the verge of extinction. Not only that, but the horrifying aftermath of this event was not just their problem, but the problem of every living creature across space and time forevermore. Number 3, the fall of the Eldar Empire.
I thought that was I thought that was Slaanesh right there. I thought that was Diddy 7.0. Man, bro, like this is Warhammer, I swear to you, it's legit like it's the franchise of depression. Like everything bad ever happens in this franchise. It doesn't even like phase me anymore.
Long before the human species left the trees and began the process of ascending the evolutionary hierarchy to become the undisputed masters of their home planet, the Eldar had already established themselves as the masters of the galaxy and had ruled as its undisputed superpower for tens of millions of years. As humanity, for obvious reasons, doesn't have any records of this time period, we can only guess at just how large their empire was at its peak. But there is a quote that's passed around pretty often from a Harlequin in the novel Throne World, where he referred to it as, quote, the empire of 10 million suns. Now, compared to the Imperium's famous million planets, that's a pretty big difference. The major problem that the Eldar were facing was the fact that they didn't have any problems. When you're a long-lived species like them that doesn't have any wars to fight and no massive problems to solve,
you're not on, like, you're not as strong as, like, you're not experienced. Okay, that's kind of like, that's kind of like somebody who struggled growing up financially. No, not even financially, but that's kind of like somebody like that's kind of like somebody who grew up in like a tough neighborhood and stuff like that, and like they grew up and stuff like that, compared to somebody who always grew up in like the rich neighborhood. There's nothing wrong with like the person growing up in the rich neighborhood. I'm just saying, if you were to throw those two type of people into like a tough or dangerous situation, most likely the guy who grew up in like a tough neighborhood would, I guess, make it out more, because you know he or she is used to that. They're used to that tough like environment. They're used to like those type of situations, to where if you put like the person who never really had to face any of that like type of like, you know, like, you know, environments or whatever, if you put them in like a really dangerous situation, they're not really, they're kind of like gonna freeze up. You get what I'm saying? So probably like for them, these guys, whatever, if they never really got into like any trouble, whatever, which that's not a, first of all, that's a refreshing thing to hear. But at the same time, they like the experience. They like the experience of like war. They like the experience of like, you know, basically like getting tested, if that makes sense. So
you end up having a lot of free time to spend on more sensual pursuits. Now, sure, for a while this took the form of the arts, musical theater, poetry, architecture, etc., etc. But over millions of years, these things all started to become rather dull, and a large portion of their population started to live increasingly decadent and hedonistic lives.
Oh, forget what I said. Oh, never mind. Oh, man, I thought he was gonna say, oh, well, you know, they basically got soft and, you know, they couldn't really defend themselves, whatever. Okay, wow, okay. Basically, they all just became basically degenerates. Okay.
They indulged in excesses of every kind, with many of their people engaging in increasingly depraved and violent behaviors. Large portions of their government ended up being replaced with something called pleasure cults, which I'm not exactly sure what's going on in their meetings or what kind of administration they were running.
Diddy.
But I feel like it probably wasn't great.
Diddy.
Fun fact, if you look over at the drugged out BDSM, psychic vampire, space pirate, torture enthusiasts of the Dark Eldar, you get a pretty good picture of what their society looked like at this point in time. You see, the Drukhari called themselves the True Kin because they remember the old ways and didn't change a single bit, despite the horrific consequences that their way of life caused. The entire time that the Eldar were living like this, all of the psychic energy generated from their rampant excess was coalescing in the warp as a brand new chaos god. Slaanesh, the Prince of Pleasure,
The freak.
the chaos god of excess. At one point in the early 30th millennium, that energy reached a breaking point and Slaanesh was born. With their birth, the fabric between reality and the immaterium shattered. Their resulting birth scream would send a pulsing ripple of psychic agony that whipped out in every direction, killing billions, if not trillions of Eldari in an instant. The impact site would forever exist as an irreparable wound in reality, known as the Eye of Terror, that consumed all of the major worlds within the Eldar Empire. Not satisfied with this level of destruction, Slaanesh would go on to murder almost all of the Eldar gods, save for Chegarak, who escaped into the Webway, and Isha, who was captured by Nurgle. Seemingly
Isha kind of cute.
overnight, the Eldari went from the masters of the universe to
Okay,
the
Isha.
wounded and crippled shell of their former selves, with something like 99% of them being wiped out. Now, this is a
99?
note, as I couldn't find a direct source
To the
on this, and it's
2000.
something that I'm not exactly clear on myself, as I'm not an aficionado when it comes to Eldar lore, I'll admit that, but I believe that the Eldar used to be functionally immortal, as if they died before Slaanesh, they would be reborn into a new body. But now, with Slaanesh's existence, whenever one of the Eldar died, they would devour their souls. And seeing as they are a long-lived species that doesn't give birth very often and was used to being able to just reincarnate, this played pretty heavily into their even further decline over the millennia. If you're somebody who's more familiar than I am with the Eldari lore, definitely give me your insights into this in the comment section. Anyways, the Eldar population continues to dwindle with every year that goes by. They exist now as a whisper of greatness, a ghost of what was, and a living warning of the dangers of rampant, unchecked hubris. Now, I rank the fall of the Eldar Empire so highly on this list because even though the total death tolls of something like the Heresy or the Cybernetic Revolt are certainly higher, as the Eldar were a species that just honestly didn't have that high of a population to begin with, especially when compared to something like humanity that treats repopulating like an Olympic sport. But even still, the seemingly infinite death, destruction, and outright suffering that would be unleashed upon the galaxy from this point forward, and in some cases in the past as well, due to time getting weird in the warp. The total death count across space and time resulting from the birth of a new chaos god is impossible to quantify. Much like how the next apocalypse we're going to talk about is not only one of the most defining and destructive moments in the galaxy's history, but it's also one of the most recent apocalyptic events in the lore, one that the Imperium is currently dealing with the direct aftermath of. Number 2, the Cicatrix Maledictum and the 13th Black Crusade.
Those are two big words.
A Black Crusade is when a whole bunch of Chaos Space Marines get together within the Eye of Terror, set aside their differences, and set back out into real space for their favorite pastime, doing as much damage to the Imperium as they can. The vast majority of these events have been led by Abaddon the Despoiler, though some have been led by other
Abaddon the Menace.
Although the damage that each and every one of the Black Crusades has done to the Imperium varies, they have remained as a consistent and dangerous threat. However, all of them pale in comparison to the 13th, wherein Abaddon managed to destroy the fortress world of Cadia, one of the most heavily defended bastions in the entire Imperium that stood right outside of the Eye as the first line of defense against the forces of chaos. Not only did he blow up the planet by chucking an ancient and powerful Xenos artifact at it known as a Blackstone Fortress, but this also disrupted a network of Blackstone pylons across the galaxy that was keeping the Eye's malevolent energies at bay. Once they were...
This man chucked the artifact, bro. This man messed up the Wi-Fi. This man chucked the artifact at a world and just blew it up like it was a C4 or something. Yo.
Gone. The energy of the warp began to flood into real space, creating the Cicatrix Maledictum, also known as the Great Rift, that split the galaxy in half. Billions of worlds were caught in its path and believed to have been destroyed outright.
Did he say billions of worlds? Would it be?
As being instantaneously assailed by the raw power of the warp is something that almost none can survive. However, those killed instantly like this may have just been the lucky ones.
Lucky?
All of the planets on the opposite side of the rift from Terra were plunged into darkness, cut off from the Emperor, the Astronomicon, and every other planet. This half of the galaxy would become known as Imperium Nihilus, and the forces of chaos, which up until this point had been forced to remain within the Eye of Terror, were now able to freely prey upon the stars again. I know it's something that we didn't exactly cover in this video, but if you're a Warhammer aficionado and you know just how bad the Age of Strife was, that's quite literally what is happening on that half of the galaxy right now. It is a lawless realm where every planet is forced to fend for itself, and the enemies of mankind don't have to worry about Imperial reinforcements. They can just raid to their heart's content. The chaos unleashed by the Great Rift is something the human mind is simply not capable of processing. There are just too many variables, too many people, too many factions, too many species affected by it. No matter what planet you're on.
Bro, this thing was like a Moab. Listen, if you know what a Moab is, bro, you a legend, bro. If you know what a Moab is, this thing was like this thing wiped out billions of worlds. I've never even heard of that before. Hello?
This thing is visible.
It's me.
Across the sky, and by looking at it, a person can be driven to madness. This is exactly what happened on Terra, who, remember, was not caught in the Great Rift's path, not in Imperium Nihilus, and nowhere near its opening. But even still, within only a few days of the Rift's appearance, its quadrillions of civilians were plunged into anarchy and insanity. The Adeptus Terra and all of the armed forces that worked for them were completely ill-prepared to handle something like this. They could only barely hold on as they established quarantine zones and cut down hordes of lunatic civilians. Seen from the skies in the Vaults of Terra novel series, it was like the whole world was on fire as rioting spread to every inch of the planet. Even the Astronomicon ended up going out, which caused mayhem across the galaxy as untold millions of ships would end up getting lost in the warp without its light. Now, thankfully, the Astronomicon would end up coming back online about a week later, and order was reinstated. But for a very real moment, this was viewed as the end of days. It was believed to be the final apocalypse.
GG's.
This was all just on a single world. Similar events
GG's.
were taking place all over the galaxy. Fun fact, it's still illegal to look up on many Imperial worlds, as the Great Rift is still plastered across the sky.
What?
Now, when this one earned its number 2 spot, I included all of the events of the 13th Black Crusade itself and the destruction of Cadia when it came to ranking this particular apocalypse. But realistically, all those could be thrown out the window, as the formation of the Great Rift is not only the most traumatic event that has occurred in the Imperium's history, but also ranks as one of the most apocalyptic scenarios in the entire timeline of the galaxy. The lives lost in the Battle of Cadia pale in comparison to the untold billions swallowed by the Rift itself, and the many more that would fall to the predations of chaos and roaming Xenos parties undefended within Imperium Nihilus. This is one of the most major events that's currently taking place in the most modern portion of the timeline, and it's coupled with things like the Pariah Nexus and the Fourth Tyrannic War. So needless to say, the Imperium is kinda dealing with a whole lot right now, and it adds a lot more credence to that whole time of ending thing. But even still, we have one more apocalypse to talk about, one that was even more devastating for the galaxy than all of these things combined. Number 1, the War in Heaven.
I listen. I heard about this. I need to like react to a video on the full like explanation about this, bro. But I heard so many things about this, bro. The war in heaven, yo. I need a big video about this, yo.
The War in Heaven is
Last one, y'all.
where the timeline of 40K begins.
Lock
and
in.
Kick the whole thing off with one hell of a bang. Now, as it's something I've covered many times on this channel before, I'll assume that you're at least familiar with the basics, and I won't bore you with a complete recap of its history. If you're not, though, I would recommend you check out my 40K timeline video or my Necron deep dive for more information.
Okay, we're gonna check that out.
You would see the Necrons, the old ones, the Khorne, the orks,
Steel
and the
ribs.
Eldari embroiled in a war that spanned the entire galaxy.
Damn, it's like the
and
Royal
lasted
Rumble.
for potentially millions of years. Now, I know I've said this a lot throughout this video, but the losses on each side are truly beyond comprehension. But not only this, you gotta remember that they were not the galaxy's only inhabitants at this time. From all accounts, the galaxy was full of life. And from our perspective,
Really?
60 million years ago was only a few million years after the end of the Cretaceous period. We had already seen the rise and fall of the dinosaurs and so many other life forms. But in the grand scheme of the galaxy, there are millions, if not billions, of worlds out there that are far older than our own. Worlds that at that point already had advanced, likely spacefaring civilizations on them. The War in Heaven saw the purge of countless species that were either killed for their territory or simply got caught in the crossfire. Now, it's true that we define the galaxy of the 41st millennium as one plagued by never-ending war, but most of the time these are isolated events that end up running their course and are contained to certain systems or sectors. The War in Heaven, by contrast, saw literally the entire galaxy engulfed in non-stop war for millions of years.
Wow.
And some believe
Millions
it
of
may have been
years?
even bigger than that. Fabius Bile was quoted in his trilogy as saying the War in Heaven wasn't solely confined to our galaxy, but, quote, laid waste to every galaxy in existence.
Yeah, lay waste to that hairline too. Hey man, hey bro, just go bald, bro. Stop trying to save the little edges. Come on, bro. Just go bald, bro. Just go bald, bro. You not Dr. Phil. Just go bald, bro. And blew that hairline back too. It laid waste to that hairline.
It was a war of star gods.
Let it go,
and
bro.
cannibal sons,
No
orc
Frozen.
and soulless legions that were more monstrous than any abominable intelligence. Machines that devoured entire worlds for fuel, and vampiric entities that drained the energy from stars. Cannons that could split reality with a single shot. It was a war that, although ended 60 million years ago, existence has not yet recovered from. The technology used during this period was on such an inconceivable level that it made something like the Eldar Empire at the height of their power or the Dark Age of technology look downright primitive by comparison.
Bro, these boys was using the new NVIDIA GPUs in the war. That's crazy.
Now, I've talked about this thing in many of my other videos, but it bears repeating here just to illustrate how crazy all of this was. The current most powerful artifact in existence is this thing known as the Celestial Orrery that was created by the Necrons during the War in Heaven. If you're unfamiliar with it, it's a holographic map of the galaxy that updates in real time and is said to be, quote, plugged into the fabric of reality itself. If one was so inclined, they could tap on a star in its holographic projection, and the corresponding star in real space would supernova. So I want you to keep that in your head when I tell you this. At the end of the War in Heaven, the Silent King ordered all of the Necrons to go to sleep in their tomb worlds and set the alarm clock for 60 million years. He then severed their command protocols, so when they reawoke, their minds would be theirs once again.
They was in hibernation for 60 million years, bro?
Then had all of their craziest god-killing equipment dismantled and destroyed. It was his belief that if they fell into the wrong hands while the Necrons were asleep, Or worse, the necrons that reawoke would immediately declare war on one another. His species, nay the galaxy, could end up getting wiped out. Which, all of that makes complete sense. I totally get it. But somehow, this man's took one look at the celestial orrery and was like, oh, this old thing? Nah, that's probably totally fine to leave active. How much damage could a silly old star-destroying map really do? How f***ing crazy was all of the other stuff that he did?
Bro, look at this damn criminal. Look at this school threat. Man, he over here petting a robotic cat, bro. And you trusted this dude right here, bro? You trusted this copper steel ribs? Are you serious? He's not even the same color as everybody else. And I don't want to be like, you know, I don't want to be that type of guy or whatever. But like, bro, let me not say that because I Hey, I'm about to say, listen, man, from one brownie to another, I ain't trusting you. What are we talking about? What? Oh, nah. Hey, from one brownie to another, brother. Hey, I'm not. Bro. It's a good douche. You going to sleep too. There's no way. He got the Brian Urlacher shoulder parts and everything.
Too dangerous to allow to exist. So yeah, it might be a little bit of a cop-out because I think we all knew that the War in Heaven was going to be in the #1 spot.
I didn't.
I mean, come on. I don't think you could in good faith put it anywhere else on this list or try to argue one of these other apocalypses needed to be in the #1 spot. But if you do think that, I'd love to hear your reasoning down in the comment section below. There's a lot of events that I ended up leaving out of this video, like the War of the Beast, the Age of Apostasy, or even the Great Crusade itself, because that almost certainly was seen as an apocalypse by everybody that wasn't human. Actually, hell, there were a lot of humans out there too that saw it as an apocalypse. At least the ones that didn't want to join the Imperium.
They were part of the apocalypse, yeah.
And paid a horrible price for that. Do you feel strongly that any of these or something else I didn't mention should have been included here? If you would rank these yourself, what order do you put them in? What do you think is more important to the ranking, the total amount of damage done during the events or the future consequences derived from their legacy? Let me know all of your thoughts, questions, comments.
Shout out to Weshammer, man, for this well-made video, man. Hopefully, you guys, bro, this is like a whole movie we just made. Pause. Yep, I'm 2 steps ahead. Nikocado avocado. Pause. Hopefully you guys enjoyed, man. Make sure you guys like the video, subscribe to the channel. Also, man, make sure you guys follow the Twitch, man. Other than that, I'm gonna see you guys after some out. Peace out, everybody.